Hi everyone, this is Asim here. Welcome back to our channel. So today we are gonna start with the realistic missions. So before I start with that, I would like to ask, how was the AMAS video, the previous one? I hope you learned a lot about the push notification and how you could set an automated alert whenever you get a new subdomain. So probably you would have read that tutorial as well. I hope you read that. So let's talk about what we have in hand today. So we would see how these realistic missions are different from the basic missions. And one of the viewer asked me as to how what is your thought process behind it, and can you explain some reports that you have submitted if those are disclosed. So currently I don't have any disclosed reports to explain, and as I'm not doing bug hunting for like a few weeks now, so I think it would take some time before I get a new disclosed report so as to talk about that. So while I get that report and get some bounty and have some time to explain to you, we could do the same on these realistic missions because these are also somewhat similar to that. So whatever thoughts that came to my mind to solve these challenges, I have written it down. Whether they solved the challenge or not, that's a different question altogether. But I've written that down and I would explore those. So you would get a deep insight as to what different things that you could have done for solving this particular problem. And all these do not come like naturally to you. Once you have read a lot of reports, you have spent some time looking at applications. Probably if you would have made some web applications yourself, you would get a deeper insight into that. So I always recommend have some development knowledge. It would add to your caliber and it would add to your skill set. So let's start with the realistic mission. So I've already logged into the site. So this is the first one. Uncle Arnold's local band. Your friend is being cheated out of hundreds of dollars. Help make things even. Difficulty rating easy. Take this challenge. So there's a forum also. So you could check that forum as well. Like if you get stuck. So what he says is that he made a $500 bet with a friend, but due to some incident, some car accident, one or two of his band members died. But the person with whom he made the challenge, he still insists on the challenge to remain on. So basically, he wants to get his $500. The other person. So the person who has assigned us this mission, he tells that he knows that we are good with computers and stuff. So he was wondering if there's any way so that I could hack the website and get their band on the top of the list. So the challenge was whether their band would be on top of the list or not. So the band name is Raging Inferno. Thanks a lot, man. So this is the band page. So these are the different bands. So you could see that there's a band link, and you could see the URL at the bottom. Then there's a voting option. So five vote, 1 to 5, you could vote different values. Then once you do a vote, it would reload the page after calculating the average rating. So they have multiple bands, and Raging Inferno is in the last, right? So first thing I would do is I would start the burp suit, and I would proxy all my traffic through burp suit. So for proxying, I use Foxy Proxy. It is available for Chrome as well as for Firefox. So you could just switch your proxy by clicking on a icon, and then you could select which proxy you want. So I would proxy all my traffic through burp. So you have to set it in their options. You would kind of figure that out. It's not very hard. So proxy is here. So intercept off. I usually do that. So this is the Raging Inferno band, and I have to change its score from 2.314 to above 23.107, right? So let's do a vote here. So vote 5. So you could see here the traffic is going here. And some of the things that come to my mind after seeing this request is that ID equal to 3. So this is the band ID, I would say. Vote equal to 5. So what if I change this vote value? Like instead of 5, if I give it like some large value like 5 and a lot of zeros after that. So what would happen for that? Like if the value is calculated based on the voting like value, whatever you have given, and then the average is calculated. So this would shoot the average, right? So let's send this. So you see that there was a response, and we cannot see this here. So what I would do is I would intercept the request and change it the request that's going on the fly. So I've changed the request. I would click on vote. This request would be captured here in my burp suite. I would change the value here so that the response is being sent to the browser, and I could see the response there itself. Now the intercept is off. We have already done this. So this is basically because I think I sent the request in the repeater itself. So what you had to do is you had to just increase the value of the vote parameter and the average would shoot up. So this was one of the way that I thought, but looking at the request, I had some other ideas as well. So those I have written down here. So what we have to achieve, we have to make the raging inferno on top of the list. So whenever you're doing bug hunting, you need to figure out, okay, I want to achieve this. Like you want to find a privacy issue, or you want to find maybe account takeover or excesses. So if you just specify your skill set that you have to do just this specific thing, so you might not feel a burnout because you would have hundreds of websites to test for that particular target, and that would help. I have read a lot of bug hunters suggesting that choose a particular niche thing and then work on that for all the targets that you have. So what was our target was to make the raging inferno on top of the list. How this could be done? So we need to increase the vote count for the band so that the average be like shoots up. What are the different possibilities? So once we proxied the request to Burp, so the first thing we saw was that there was a vote parameter with the value that we had passed from the UI in the front end. So we changed the vote value and it worked, right? So if it wouldn't have worked, so the next thing that you would have done, or what I would have done is I would have repeated the same request many times to increase the total vote count. Like there may be that there wasn't any check, so I would send it to intruder. Or if you have the pro version, you could increase this number of threads. On the community version, there is a limit of one thread, so it's basically very slow. I would clear this out and like say suppose it was five itself, and then payloads I would choose the null payload because I don't want to send anything and generate like suppose 10,000 payloads. Basically, 10,000 requests with vote equal to 5 would be sent. So basically, 50,000 vote in total would be sent. You could increase this like to 5 lakh votes and all those things. So in community version, you might face a difficulty because it would be throttling it. So either use the turbo intruder and write a small script for that. So that would be very useful. You could check out the examples on their repo as well, the turbo intruder repo. So if this wouldn't have also worked, so then you should have the mindset of like why this wasn't working. So this how this would have been implemented would should have been the first thought. Like there would be some check on the back end, so that the server knows that this person has already voted, and that's how it's keeping some count. So how would that be, right? So it could be because there might be a unique identifier identifying yourself, like this is hacking simplified, and he has already voted. So they would have something in the database. So let's say that unique parameter through which they're identifying me was PHP session ID, because here in the request you could say that there's a PHP session ID here, right? Although session IDs are only like temporary things and those are only valid for a particular session. So I don't think that it would be used, but there could be some unique parameters, UUID or user ID, some similar kind of thing. So, and another thing that you would notice is that this PHP session ID and this cookie PHP session ID is different. Probably because this is for the mission, that this particular session ID has solved this mission. Because this cookie is for hack this site and this is for the particular mission. So coming back to the solution. So if there was a unique ID check, so how would they be checking that? So they might have some query, some similar kind of thing that they will be counting as from the voting table, like where unique ID equal to PHP session ID or my unique ID, and vote count is less than one or maybe equal to zero, right? So this they would check, and if the value of count, because what it is doing is it is counting the number of columns or number of values where this is being like populated. So if there was a vote count less than one, so it would have something, right? Or rather, change this to vote count is greater than zero. So what this would do is, like, if a person has voted, then in the table where the voting table, they would have their unique ID added, and the vote count would be greater than zero. So this query would output count as one or maybe greater than one. So if your count is greater than zero, basically meaning that you have already voted, so it won't count your vote again. So what you could do is that you could change this PHP session ID to some random values, and since there is no check whether this PHP session ID is a valid like user or not, so this check would be bypassed. So if the application is poorly written, you could bypass that. So these are some of the things that you could use to bypass the checks. So that's pretty much all. I hope you liked the video. I would try to make shorter videos because I think that the videos, if they get too long, it like people lose interest in that. So comment in the video if you like this like shorter format of the videos. I'd prefer making that because that also gives me the freedom to make more videos in a week than the longer ones. So a lot of people are asking questions on Reddit as well. I've answered all the feedback form questions in my previous video. I'd be making a video on nuclei and how I got a duplicate submission and which fetched me some points on bug crowd using that particular showdown query which I tweeted a week back or maybe a 2 week back. So using nuclei and the showdown query, I got a few servers and then I reported on bug crowd. So I would be talking in the next video when I would be reviewing the nuclei toolkit. I would be also reviewing lazy recon or ultimate recon. So stay tuned and do subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon because I would be making more of these videos. Apart from weekend, I would also try to make these on weekdays if there would be shorter videos. So thank you and have a nice day.